Welcome to the Science Edit, the podcast that breaks down the trickiest parts of science and helps you get it right when it matters most. I'm Miss Lima, and I'm here to support you with the science you need when you need it. Whether you're revising for exams, exploring future careers, or just trying to figure out why your last test didn't go so well, you're in the right place. Let's dive into our next episode. In this episode, we're exploring the gross side of science, the things that make you squirm, but also make you think. Over the past few weeks, you sent in your most disgusting science facts, and we've been finding out which ones are actually true. With me are three of our sixth form students who have researched some of your submissions. We'll talk about worms in the eyes, blood-shooting lizards, bacteria on phones, and more to uncover the real science behind them. So welcome, Alex, Camille and Dylan. Thank you for joining me today. We've got some really gross facts to discuss. The first one is about parasites, and the claim is that some worms can live in your eyes. So does anyone want to talk about that?
It's quite interesting, really, because it's not something you really see over here in the UK as much. It's not something you think of as common, and it's really not. It affects 20 million people worldwide, which is it's a lot of people, but it's a fraction of the population, isn't it?
It's actually true. There are parasites that cause a disease called river blindness. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It can affect around 20 million people a year. The adult worm, get this, can live to be about 7 centimetres long. They live in the tissues for up to 17 years, and they can migrate under the skin and then can also move across to the eye. And they are that big, you can actually see them in your eyes.
If they're in there long enough, they can also scratch your cornea, so they can cause permanent blindness if not treated quickly.
Oh, wow. I did some reading on this, and it said like 1.2 million people worldwide actually have visual impairment due to these parasites. And yeah, it's pretty grim. But they're not the only parasites that can affect the eyes. Has anyone got any information about any other parasites?
Well, one that's seems to be more common in Europe is something that's more spread by fruit flies. That's been found, as I said, all around Europe, which can cause conjunctivitis and excessive tearing.
There's also the toxoplasma parasites as well that live in cat poo, which can affect people in this country. And it's really interesting because actually they're passed on by cats eating rodents, and the parasite can actually affect the behaviour of the rodent to make it more likely that they will be eaten by the cat. So it's also pretty grim.
And joining on from these parasites influencing behaviour of their hosts is with certain flatworms with snails can go in and invade their eye stalks and cause them to pulsate and change colour, which will attract birds to come and eat them.
That is gross.
Yeah, so then we'll be moving on to bacteria eating sweat to do with body odour. And the idea here is that sweat doesn't smell at all, and it's actually the bacteria that causes the smell. And this is completely true. Sweat by itself is almost odourless, as it's 99% water and just some salts, lipids and fats. And then the smell that actually you smell of body odour is caused by bacteria feeding on those proteins and fats and produce strong smelling acids. Yeah,
it's also like sulphur containing compounds. It's funny, isn't it? Those sulphur containing compounds smell really bad to us. It's like, you know, when you burn hair, because hair's got quite a high sulphur content, and it's that kind of oniony smell, that cheesy smell that you get from BO is pretty grim.
There's also genetic variations which can lead you to having more or less body odour. So, for example, in East Asia, there's a mutation which means you don't stink as much.
So it's true, some people are just more smelly than others.
Yeah.
That's pretty grim. But it also is affected obviously by diet and stress, etc. And, you know, what stage of life, teenagers can obviously produce more sweat as well. It's not just armpit smells though as well. Foot odour is also caused by bacteria too.
And it's actually the same bacteria that causes the foot, cheesy feet smells you always think of, is actually used to make cheese, funnily enough.
This is really putting me off eating any lunch today. It's putting me off completely. The other thing as well is that it can have an effect on insects, because insects can be more attracted. They're actually programmed to be attracted to these smells. So if you do sweat a lot, you might find that you actually attract more insects. You get more insect bites, like mosquito bites, etc.
Sounds like a cartoon where if someone's really smelly, they've got the flies following around it. It's almost,
exactly.
That's
they've
almost
got the green
true.
trail.
Yeah, it's actually true, yeah.
These bacteria can also produce the old person smell that people wouldn't really think of as being attributed to bacteria, but because it feels so weird that the old person smell is a real, explainable thing.
Actual thing.
Our next topic is saying that frogs can clean their intestines in a bit of a weird way. Because their stomachs is attached far too firmly to the esophagus, they can't actually vomit. It's just something they can't do. So instead they've taken the idea of instead just throwing up their insides and cleaning themselves. It's a bit of a grim way to do it.
This was submitted by one of my year 7 students, and I had no idea that frogs did this. When he told me, he said, "Miss, did you know that frogs, because they can't be sick, they just like sick up their intestines and then clean it with their hands?" And he did this motion, and it was just, it's really stuck with me, that. But it's completely true. And they do it voluntarily as well. They can just they actually just take their intestines, put them out through their mouth, clean them, and then push them back in and hope everything goes back into the right place again.
So some other pretty cool things that certainly worthy of being on this list and podcast are they eat their own skin quite regularly.
That's gross.
And they put it up over their head and swallow it for the nutrients. This is actually quite common in, I know frogs are amphibians, but I have geckos myself, and they do the exact same thing.
Do they?
Yeah,
Okay.
they come and eat their own skin.
Oh.
It's quite funny to watch them, especially with their legs, and almost looks like they're pulling off like a rubber glove, like inverting it, and it stretches and sort of pops off and all comes at once, and you see them eating it up. And they just have no issue with it at all. It's really
Right, I'm never getting a gecko.
It's really fun to watch, actually.
But frogs are actually fascinating, different types of frog species that you get. I mean, some of them are really poisonous. If you think about poison arrow frogs and stuff, they're some of the most toxic organisms where just a few micrograms of poison is actually fatal. You see them using poison darts and stuff. They are quite interesting.
Some species of frog could also be used in pregnancy testing. So like the African clawed frog, when they're injected with the HCG hormone produced by pregnant women, they actually start to ovulate. So it's quite a good indicator in pregnancy.
So you can tell basically if you're pregnant by using a frog.
Yeah.
If you're too scared to go down the pharmacist.
Our next topic is lizards that shoot blood from their eyes, which is obviously quite a grim defense mechanism, but it's actually quite effective because their blood has antimicrobial properties and histamines, which are actually toxic to the predators.
Yeah, this is the regal horn lizard that lives in America. It's kind of like a last resort of a defense mechanism, but it's really effective. And if like a coyote or something like that is threatening to the lizard, then they will shoot. And in fact, they can shoot it, a good couple of meters or so out of their eyes. They shoot the blood.
Yeah, this isn't actually harmful to the lizard at all because it's only around 1% of their total blood volume. So it's really not deadly to the lizard at all to be doing this, and it's far, far less than if you're going to go donate some blood.
Yeah, it's called auto-hemorrhaging, and they're not the only organisms to do it. You've got ladybirds that can do this, and so do some snakes as well. But an interesting fact about horned lizards is that they get the acid, it's formic acid, they get the acid from their diet because they eat ants, and so they have quite a high formic acid content. That's how they produce this nasty blood that will sting the eyes.
So another absolutely horrid fact we've got on this list is producing...
I've been waiting for this one.
is that you actually produce 1 to 2 litres of snot per day, which no matter how far you dig looking for gold, you're never going to get all that out. The nasal cavity and sinuses are actually lined with goblet cells which secrete mucus. Mucus is made up of only a few things. It's water, mucin, glycoproteins, antibodies, enzymes and salts. So it's really quite simple. It's not a massive chemical cocktail that you will find basically anywhere else in the body, really.
Mucus is also used to trap pathogens, so it's actually quite an important role in the immune system, so we don't feel sick all the time.
But most of it we swallow without even thinking about it. It just gets swallowed and then destroyed by the acid in the stomach. So it's a really effective way. But I think just the sheer volume of thinking of 2 litres of mucus is it's quite a lot of mucus. Apparently it's 6 billion particles it attracts per day. That's a heck of a lot of dust, pollen and pathogens there.
Something I was personally interested in, because I'm asthmatic and I know that increases the mucus production. I wanted to know how much is produced with mucus hypersecretion. And it turns out with asthma and things like allergies, it can double or even triple the amount of mucus that's produced. Our final topic we'll talk about today is one that many people don't really want to think about, and it's how your phone actually has more bacteria than a toilet does. In multiple studies, swabs from mobile phones have showed between 10 to even 30 times more bacteria than the average toilet seat, including E. coli, and various other rather nasty sounding bacteria.
See, this I can believe because people just take their phones everywhere with them. People take their phones to the toilet. They just take them, they're constantly... Apparently the average person touches their phone 2,500 times a day, which is a heck of a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, especially with like younger generations always on it. There's just not a need to put it down for at least 5 minutes. Do your business away from your phone, please. Because think of all the other things. If that's on your phone screen, you touch that. That's then going to be on everything that you touch. So especially public places. Schools must be riot with it. I don't want to.
It's not just phones. It's not just phones. Keyboards have got fecal material on them. And shopping trolley. Like supermarket shopping trolley handles. They've been tested to, and often have fecal material on them as well. So it's a bigger problem than you think.
People just need to wash their hands.
Wash
your hands. Wash your phone.
Well, actually, saying that, some of the cleanest phones that you get are of healthcare workers because they are constantly washing their hands. And apparently the most common bacterial hotspots are phone cases because obviously they have textured grips and the edges of the protective covers where pathogens can thrive.
So in short, bacteria is on everything that you touch.
Basically. Well, that brings us to the end of Gross Science, the facts that you wish you didn't know. Thank you, everyone who sent in their facts, and to our sixth form students for finding out which ones were true. In part 2, we will look at even more listener submissions, including why vultures cover their legs in excrement, how your kitchen sink compares to your toilet, and what happens when animals eat their own species. Every one of these is real, so be ready for another dose of strange but brilliant science. Until next time, thank you everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.